Hey everybody, what's up? This is Janet from Bold Fit, and today I wanted to show you some exercise movements including resistance bands. Resistance bands are a great piece of equipment to have for anybody in all levels of fitness, whether you're just starting out as a beginner and all the way up to advanced levels. They're super cost effective. You can buy them pretty much anywhere in stores or online. They're easy to store and you can take them anywhere with you. So I'm going to show you a couple of the different resistance bands that I'm going to be using today. So if you see below, we're going to include the use of mini bands, of which I have 6 different levels here that I bought in one package from Power Systems on Amazon. And then I have these kinds of stretchy bands, and if you've done any sort of physical therapy, you might be really familiar with these. And they don't have any handles, but they're also different medium, light, and heavy resistance. And then there's also these bands, the longer tubes with the handles that we can use for other exercises. So when we get into the demonstration, I'm going to show you how to use all of these with functional movement training. So now I'm going to show you several different movements that's going to cover the upper body, lower body, and core. So we're going to start with legs and a mini band. In this case, I'm bringing a heavy mini band, but please choose a band that's appropriate for your fitness level. So to start out, we're going to do some squats using the mini band. So I'm going to bring my feet in between. You can also do this sitting down so you don't fall over. And then bring your mini band just right above your knees, resting on your thighs. So then to get into your squat formation, you want to bring your feet shoulder width apart, roll those shoulders back and down, keep them retracted as your chest stays open. Now also, right now, feeling the tension in the band already because it's taut with my legs being spread apart, and I want to make sure that I keep that tension throughout the whole motion. So for the descending part of the squat, from a side angle view, you're ready to go down. You want to keep that chest lifted, send the hips and glutes back, and the weight into your heels, and then you're going to press up through those heels and your quads to come right back up to start with your hips facing forward. So from the front, it's going to look like this, sending the hips and glutes back, going to your depth, whatever that is, and then coming right back up again. And keeping the tension the whole time. So you're really going to start to feel it after several reps that your quads are getting a lot of focus there. If you want to add a little variation into this, you could also do some jump squats. So same thing as the squat, except you're adding a little bit of a bounce at the end, some plyometrics, including the mini band. So after that, you're definitely going to feel some burning in your quads and for your glutes. All right, so aside from the squats, lateral walks are really great, especially if you're doing any sort of strengthening on your hips, on your any misalignment issues that you might have. This is a perfect exercise for that. So I'm going to keep my mini band right where it is. I'm going to get into a little crouching position here, so kind of like you're in a squat again. And all you're doing is moving laterally while continuing to maintain tension here. And this is going to make sure that my form stays intact and not letting my knees buckle in. So I'm stepping out and keeping tension the whole time. So my feet will not come together. Otherwise, I lose some of that resistance. And you want to make sure that you keep that form so your shoulders are still rolled back and down, chest is open. And find a floor space that will allow you to go a few times back and forth. And that's going to be your lateral walk. So for a final leg exercise, I'm going to show you a glute bridge. So we're going to come down to the floor. I'm still going to keep the band right where it is. I'm going to lie on my back, have my knees up, and I'm going to get my heels as close to my glutes as I can. So I want to make sure that I keep my upper body nice and firm on the floor. And all the action is going to happen from my hips, my hamstrings, and my glutes. So right away, I'm also making sure that I keep that band still taut here to create the resistance. And then I'm going to shift my hips up, engage through my glutes and hamstrings to get all the way up here as high as you can go with your hips. Again, great exercise for any misalignment issues in your hips. So bringing it all the way up and then bringing it all the way back down. Making sure that you don't arch through your back when you're on the floor, and you're really thinking about engaging those glutes really tightly the whole way through the process. Now, you could also add some variety into this by doing a set, maybe say 10 reps, full range of motion all the way up and all the way down. And at the very end, you could add in a little burnout with some isometric pulses. So you bring your hips up again as high as you can, and just engaging through my glutes, I'm creating a little isometric movement, little pulse, and that's gonna really further fatigue out that muscle. So it's a great one to add in at the very end. And that's gonna be your leg exercises. Let's move into upper body. All right, so now we're gonna get into some upper body movements. And the first one that I'm gonna show you is the band pull apart. So this time I grabbed a medium band, but again, choose a band that's at your level of fitness. And this is an exercise that I use with all of my clients doing personal training, because a lot of us suffer from having postural alignment issues because of lifestyle or from sitting a lot all day. We tend to have those shoulders round forward. And we really want to make sure that we have enough back strength by keeping the shoulders back and down so that your chest is open and the spinal alignment maintains integrity. So this mini band is going to help you do that. You're going to bring that in between your hands, and we're going to go for 3 different positions here. So this is all about pushing out on the band and externally rotating that shoulder open. So still standing, I have my base of support, soft bend in my knees, my glutes and core are engaged, my shoulders are rolled back and down. So the first one I usually have with clients is to make them hold that band with their palms facing down. With their palms facing down, we either do 10 reps or sometimes 20 seconds where you're just pushing out. You see, I'm keeping my elbows and arms engaged, but I'm not trying to force it out with my hands. It's just coming from the shoulder as I'm pushing out to externally rotate it. In other words, so the shoulder's moving back. Then we will go for 10 reps or 20 seconds of your palms facing in. Same thing, teeny tiny movement. When you start doing this, you're gonna feel it pretty much immediately, the work that it's going into. And then the final set, I'll do palms facing up. So again, making sure that you don't lock in your elbows too. You kind of want to make sure they're away from your body, and just very small movement here to try to externally rotate it. Already that's creating heat for me. So this is a great one to use. You can do it in warm-ups or as part of your workout, but I would highly encourage trying this out. All right, next one we're gonna do is a tricep kickback. So I'm gonna bring in one of these bands. So this is, again, I was mentioning, if you've done any sort of PT, you might be familiar with these bands. They have different resistance levels and there are no handles, so you can really modify as you need to create additional resistance. So for the tricep kickbacks, I'm gonna show you from a side angle. I'm gonna bring this down and put my feet in there, make sure that I have enough tension, but not too much that I won't be able to bring up the bands and back out. And I'm gonna have a slight hinge position here. In other words, I'm gonna bring my hips back, engage my glutes nice and tightly, shoulders stay back and down, chest open, and a soft bend in my knees. That's gonna be your base. So the rest of the work is gonna come in from the triceps. So I'm gonna pull the bands right up underneath my shoulders, making sure that my elbows are tracking straight back, and then the kickback will come back like this. So the tricep is the muscle that we're using to bring it back and right back underneath your shoulder, maintaining the integrity of the form as I'm showing you right now. So do those a few times. Let it really pause at that top of the kickback before you come back in. And if you need to find a little bit more slack, you can always step your feet closer together or just choose a different level resistance band. All right, now I'm gonna show you some bicep curls. So make sure we get both parts of the arm. So I'm gonna use the one with handles this time to show you. So again, I'm gonna bring my feet into the middle of the band. And if you're able to use the handles, then use the handles. Sometimes there may not be enough, especially if you're shorter, so you might have to kind of go a little bit lower. But let's just start out with the handles here. So I want my arms all the way down, full range of motion. You want your palms facing out, and you're just engaging through your bicep to do that curl. So I'm bringing it up and all the way back down. And only moving through my biceps and making sure that I'm not using any leverage like swinging my arms. In this case, I can feel I can do more tension, so I'm gonna do it holding below the handlebars. and that's going to be your bicep curls. All right, and finally I'm going to show you one great exercise that you can do for the core using the bands. So I'm going to grab my mini band again, but you can also do this with these kind of bands, the resistance tubes. But we're going to do lying abductors. So I'm coming right back down to the floor. This time I'm going to put my band right around, you can either put it around your ankles or around your feet. Either way is fine. Making sure that when you bring your legs up, that there's tension here and that you keep your feet apart the whole time. So abduction, all that means is pushing away from the midline. So that's what we're going to do with our feet while we're engaging our core here, making sure that we don't have any space between our back and the floor. So I'm really pushing down hard with a pelvic tilt going in. And then this is going to happen with just bringing the feet a little bit apart, a little bit apart. So here again, isometric movement where you're working on your hips, glutes, and it'll burn out. You'll start to feel it right away. So doing a set of maybe 10 reps like this, take a little bit of rest and do it again. And this is working both on the posterior chain as well as your core. So you're going to get a lot of activation through your body from doing this movement with just a little piece of plastic. And that's going to be the demo for how to do these exercises. All right, we're going to go through a really quick workout. So to give you an example of how to incorporate all the moves that we just did. And we're going to include a warm-up in this because we want to make sure that anytime you do any sort of workout, do make sure you get a few minutes in at least to warm up with some dynamic stretching. In other words, movements that you do for stretching instead of just holding. Holding stretching is done at the end of the workout. All right, so we're going to get started with our little warm-up here. 30 seconds each. First one up is going to be a boxer shuffle. So boxer shuffle, I'm just bouncing between my right and my left feet. I'm trying to stay right up on top of the balls of my feet and not twisting at my hips, arms up just like you're a fighter in the ring. Get them nice and tight and get your whole body engaged here. So just very light to start out, give you a little bit more cardio. As your breath starts to catch up, make sure you keep breathing in the nose and out the mouth, using your diaphragm. Good. All right, dynamic shoulder stretching. We're gonna roll the shoulders out here. Really big range of motion all the way back, all the way down. Good. Then take your hands down behind your back. Interlace your fingers and pull down. Open the chest, squeeze your shoulder blades together. So you have a little bit of an arch in your back. Then I'm gonna turn forward. I'm gonna bring those hands out in front. Relax your shoulders and stretch through your arms. And then bring it overhead for an overhead extension. Good. From here, we're going to do a squat, reach, and pull. So you're going to bring your feet shoulder width apart, keep the hips going back and your glutes. You're going to come forward with your arms outstretched, and then you're going to pull as you stand up. So now we're also activating our back as well as getting our lower body more warmed up. So you want to make sure that you're not tipping forward, your chest stays lifted, and putting the weight back into the heels, just like we talked about in the demos. Good. All right, from here I'm going to come into a plie stance, so my feet and toes are pointed out. I'm coming down, just a little bend in my knees and hands on top of my knees. I'm going to rotate one shoulder in while I push out that same leg. So now I'm getting a spinal twist here while also opening up through my hips. And this can just be done a little bit of a back and forth, getting the shoulder twisted into the center. Good, make sure you keep breathing. Good one to also do at the very end. Toy soldiers, you're just going to kick one leg out, opposite hand, opposite foot, coming together, warming up those hamstrings. So just because this is just a warm-up, you don't need to necessarily kick very high because you're just getting your hamstrings warmed up, but you do want to make sure that you get them fired up before you begin anything. Good. And then we just have one more exercise and we'll get into the bands. Good. Torso twist is the last one. Bring your arms out in front of you, and then you're going to open up and twist to one side, keeping your hips forward and back into the center again and out to the other side. So inhaling in the center, twist, exhale, inhale, exhale. Good. So really focusing here on moving the upper body while the lower body stays in place. Transverse plane here.
3,
Good.
2, 1.
All right, so now we're gonna move into all the exercises that we did in the demo. I'm gonna do each one for 30 seconds with 10 seconds rest. And that will be considered one round. So if you need some water, grab some water, get your towel, get your bands in line, and let's go. So like I said, we're gonna do each one 30 seconds, 10 seconds rest, starting off with the squat. So just like we did in the warm-up, this time a little bit longer. So get the band right above your knees. Find your squat with your shoulders, your feet shoulder width apart, shoulders roll back and down, keep that chest lifted. And I'll show you from the side angle. Are you guys ready? 3, 2, and 1. So we're squatting. Notice I'm coming down to my low point, wherever that might be. So if you find yourself starting to break form here, in other words, like you're rounding forward, come right back up, align yourself, and maybe shorten that range of motion. Maybe your form is down here, or maybe you can go to depth. Either way, form over effort. Good. We're over halfway.
3,
Good.
2, 1.
Now I'm gonna do lateral walks. So coming down into that position again, you still have 10 seconds rest. 3, 2, 1. Lateral walk, making sure that I keep my feet apart and resistance the whole time in that band, also while maintaining my form up here. Shoulders back and down, chest is open. Good. And I'm really pushing through the sides here. So again, if you have any hip issues, weaker glutes, this is an excellent exercise for that, and you will feel it almost right away. I'm already getting super warm right now.
3,
Good.
2, 1.
All right, 10 seconds. Now we're gonna go into the glute bridge. So I'm gonna come down to the floor, get myself set up, push right back into the floor, glutes close to my heels, and we're going full range of motion all the way up and all the way down. So really pop those hips up when you come into this position, but also making sure that your back isn't arching. So you're gonna feel a bit of a stretch in your quadriceps as you do this, but it's really activating from your hamstrings, glutes, and hips. Good. Keep it going. Inhale as you come down, exhale as you come up. All right, rest. Now we're gonna move into the pull-aparts. So I'm gonna take this band off, set it up in between my hands, starting with my palms facing down for 10 seconds. Little tiny movement, thinking about the shoulders rolling out. Good. Now bring them in for 10 seconds. So palms facing in.
That's halfway.
Good. Breathe through this. You should start to feel warm in your shoulders. And final 10 seconds, palms up. Good. Stay with it. Almost there.
3,
2, and 1. All right. Tricep kickbacks. I'm going to set it up with this band this time. Making sure I come into my hinge position. Hinging from the hips. Glutes come back. Bringing the band up right underneath my shoulders and kicking it back into that full extension of the tricep. So again, here in the position that you're at, you want to just keep ensuring that you have your glutes squeezed to protect that lower back, and that your head stays as an extension of your neck and spine, so you're not looking straight down or cranking your neck. And meanwhile, the main muscle mover here is that tricep, pressing, pushing. Good. Switching now to the bicep curls. So the muscle group opposing your triceps, so only using my biceps to curl all the way up, full range of motion, and back down. Good, and just keep that going for those 30 seconds. Make sure that you have enough resistance so it is a challenge to you. I'm gonna bring a little bit more into mine. Maybe even bring my feet out a little bit wider to get a little bit more resistance for those biceps. So if you thought you could only do biceps with free weights, think again. This is another great way to do that. Good. All right, and then we're gonna finish with those abductors lying down, so getting the band back around my feet. And this time I'm going to show you from the front. So you see my legs are up and I'm just little small movement, moving out here by engaging through my glutes and trying to push out with the abduction of my hips. So you're going to feel this pretty quickly. It's going to burn it out at the very end here. Breathe. Inhale through your nose, exhale out your mouth. Your legs don't have to be fully straightened. And the timer is complete. So, after you do that, give yourself a little bit of a break and then repeat as many rounds as you'd like, whatever works for you. You could also do different interval timings, maybe 45 seconds, maybe a minute, depending on your fitness level. So, I hope this has been helpful in getting used to and working with some resistance bands, and definitely see if you can bring them into your workout routine. And I'll see you hopefully in the next video. Take care. Ciao.